In this gospel, the wedding feast at Cana is described. Mary is a great model for us, and she teaches us two things in this gospel. First of all, she teaches us that when things go wrong, we need to go to Jesus. And things always go wrong. They always go wrong. And sometimes it feels like they tend to go wrong. Mary has the great instinct of going to Jesus. And she goes to him. She knows her son. It was only 3 months ago in this scene that she had said goodbye to him, and he left the home. And he gathered at least 5 or 6 disciples at this point, and he brought them to this wedding feast. And again, they're feasting, they're celebrating. Weddings are joyful occasions. And this is also part of our Catholic faith too. We're not about gloominess as Catholics, and we shouldn't be. If we start to go in that direction, we should knock it off and go back to Jesus, who is the source of our joy. He'll be the source of the strength to manifest joy even when we don't really feel like it, because our intellect will tell us that we are in the state of grace. There is nothing to fear no matter what comes. Mary, when things go wrong, this is a big embarrassment to this family. The bridegroom, in fact, is supposed to normally provide all the wine. They're running short. And it's a lot of feasting and a lot of partying in a Jewish wedding. It takes a week long. It's a week-long celebration. So they run short. Mary is attentive to the needs of others, and she notices this, and she goes to Jesus. They have no wine, she says. It's funny, too, just for a moment. This is a very womanly way sometimes of just implying something. You know, she doesn't say, hey, Philip, they need more wine. Can you give them more wine? She doesn't say, can you give them more wine? She just says, they have no wine. I mean, husbands and wives, you're listening very attentively right now, because sometimes a woman will go, you know, honey, it's garbage day. You know, like implying, so you're going to go get the garbage, right? That's sometimes how it works. Mary's doing something very similar. She goes right up to Jesus. They have no wine. But she knows her son, that when he responds, woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come. Sounds like an insult at first, but it's not. If you look at the Greek of this passage, you'll see that woman is gunai. The word is gunai, and it's related to other places in literature where they use this in a way of honor. If you're familiar with the Odyssey by Homer, in that actual story, Odysseus, the main character of that story, Odysseus uses this word, woman, to speak of his bride, Penelope. Penelope is the love of his life, and calling her woman was a way of honoring her, that she is the other part of man, and that's sort of reality. And it's also used by Caesar Augustus when he greets the great Cleopatra coming from Egypt. He says woman to her in a way of honoring who she is and that honor and dignity that is due to woman. So Jesus then says, my hour has not yet come. The hour of my suffering and redemption is not yet here. I will work things out. So she trusts in this. So her first lesson that Mary teaches us is go to Jesus when things go wrong. And something always goes wrong. Secondly, she teaches us that when something happens or a response from Jesus after we've gone to him, we don't fully understand what that means. It looks like he's saying no, but I trust him. He has heard my request, and in these needs of this other person, I trust him. So the second thing she teaches us is to trust Jesus knows what he's doing in our life, working out the path of salvation that each of us has a tracing for from him. So she goes to the servers with full confidence that Jesus is going to do something. And she says the last words we get from Mary in the New Testament. She says, do whatever he tells you to these servers. And they do. They listened to Mary. And this beautiful reality where Mary is also one who cares for us. She listens to our needs when we're low on wine, when we're low on love. When our stomach and our heart and our minds feel listless and we don't know what's going on, we want to follow Mary's cue. Go to Jesus and then trust that he knows what he is about and he will take care of things. That's a good prayer of confidence when we have something to pray for. And I'm sure we all have something we're praying for. And to say, Jesus, I know that you will take care of this matter. I know that you'll take care of it. I give it to you. It's too much for me to carry. We want to do this in our marital lives too. In marriages, it's not easy at all. Since this is at a wedding, Jesus performs his first public miracle at a wedding, at a marriage. Why wouldn't he want to work a miracle out for our marriages also? He wants to do that. All we have to do really is but invite him in, show him that confidence, show him, I know that you will take care of this. Because our efforts alone will not do it. They won't do it. On a natural human level, we might work out communication skills every once in a while. But to have a real strong love that he wants for us to enjoy, to give and receive in that way, we'll need his grace. And his grace will always fill up where we lack. And the days when we don't want to love, he'll give us the strength to love. And marriages are not easy. Myself, as a observer of marriages on the human level, also living out my own marriage to be faithful to the bride of Christ, the church, to carry out my duties with great decisiveness and a sense of also loving in that way too. It's hard. And as marriages, as I observe and hear stories and all sorts of situations, I know that it's not easy. I know that it's difficult. And some days you don't feel like loving the other person. You, in fact, feel like pointing out all kinds of problems that they have. You know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Use 10, like I could keep going. We can find all sorts of wrong things with them. But that's where we need to retrain the mind. And we can retrain it. We can, even with God's grace behind it, pushing it forward to say, there's good qualities and good characteristics there, and I will point those out. I will make those public in my mouth, not the other things. And to start to train our mind. And over time, that changes our disposition, too, towards the other person, that we can give to them, that we can also ask the saints, too, to help us out. Because I, as a priest, too, I need help quite a bit to be faithful to my charge. So when I'm in confessions, I ask St. John Vianney to help me out. He heard confessions for 14 hours one day, and many days after that. I'm like, 14 hours? And St. Padre Pio could read people's souls and help their souls truly convert. I ask for his intercession too. St. Jose Maria's, I actually ask for about 6 saints when I'm here in front of the altar, actually, before I come over here. I ask for about 6 different saints' intercessions to help me preach. I need that help in order to make anything make sense. And that's a reality. So, for married saints, there's all kinds of married saints for us. You just Google it, in fact. Google 10 holy saints for marriages, and you'll find a big slew of them. Because if you want that help, you'll get it. St. Adelaide, actually, from the 10th century, she is the patron saint of second marriages. Interesting story. Look it up. St. Adelaide of Burgundy. Also, a patron saint of married people in general is St. Joseph, our patron saint for this church. St. Joseph is a patron saint of all married people because he lived out faithfully a marriage to Mary, and their marriage was the happiest. Fulton Sheen wrote about it in a book that he called The World's First Love, and in it there's a chapter called The Happiest Marriage, and it's the marriage between Mary and Joseph, and he speaks beautifully about that reality. St. Joseph is the most powerful saint after Our Lady in heaven to intercede for us. He is the patron saint of the universal church. He will also be a help in marriages, especially for us men. We'll need that help too, to give to our bride without grumbling, without sort of an interior, silent, quiet resentment. We don't want that. We don't need it. We want to give with a heart that says, this is, first of all, my duty, of course. Second of all, I want to do this, and I know I should. And I want to do this well, too. Not just to sort of do it sloppily, but I want to do it well, because that is what's called for me, and my spouse deserves an excellent spouse. I think of the same thing in my parish. A parish deserves an excellent priest, not just a decent, nice priest, nice guy, but an actual excellent priest, a good holy priest, a priest with a pure heart. That's what they deserve. Same in our families. Let us give what they deserve. And God will help us do that. And we'll fall and we'll stumble, and that's okay. We'll run back to Jesus in confession, ask for his help, and then trust that he knows what he is about as we go forward. Mary's our model for that, teaching us cues in this gospel. Go to Jesus when things go wrong, then trust that he knows what he's doing in our lives, that he will work out our salvation and our joy, and call upon the saints for help as well.